Following the relative success that horror has brought to the gaming platform over the last few years, with stellar AAA titles such as Alien Isolation, The Evil Within, and of course Outlast, along with the closet success of Dead by Daylight, that multiplayer Steam-based release, along with more indie titles such as Soma and Layers of Fear, and the early success of Resident Evil 7 in 2017, with a risky departure from its serious standard habits, I, and I'm sure many others, are more than slightly interested in what 2017 has to offer in this wide and sometimes overused genre. First up on this list at number 5 is Pamela.
I know you can't hear me. I just need someone to listen. Eden. That's what they called this place.
There aren't many, if any, games where a utopian future has actually worked out, and following this trend, Pamela is a sci-fi survival horror that claims to take inspiration from Bioshock, Mass Effect, and Deus Ex, quite the list, and it has RPG elements, whatever that might mean in this case. You play as someone called a sleeper, woken up from cryosleep. Pamela is in fact the city's AI, who, in a nice change of pace, is actually on your side. The enemies in this game are called the Afflicted and are driven by horrendous pain and disfigurements based around a personality-driven AI, which means that the enemies that you encounter and those encounters themselves are going to be unpredictable, which is really great. Plus there is a handful of other factions, such as droids, for instance. I'm pretty sure that this means that not all the NPCs in the games are going to be hostile, but we'll just have to wait and see. Managing energy resources while traversing the city is paramount, so as to avoid being stranded in the dark. Pamela overall sounds like an interesting survival horror game, melding together multiple inspirations and gameplay styles, and I personally think it looks, from the trailers I've seen, and sounds quite promising. Pamela is due for release in March 2017, and I hope it does well.
Many believed that true utopia could never be achieved. They were right.
Number 4 on this list, and next up is Agony.
Everyone clings to her, like flies to a corpse, and everybody ends up as a corpse.
Rather than being stalked for an entire game, scared to death of being murdered in some gruesome way, Agony's jump straight to the death. Literally. Developed by Madmind Studios, Agony throws the player into the mind of a tormented soul trapped in hell, with zero memories of their past. The gameplay revolves around avoiding demons with breathing and crouch mechanics, while also being given the abilities to possess other people and weak demons to avoid detection. Combined with puzzle solving and various collectible hunting, the player seeks a way to escape hell. Funded by Kickstarter, Agony is now highly anticipated and has been advertised heavily over all social platforms, and is due for release in June 2017, so hopefully it lives up to its considerable hype at this point.
She helped to create this place. That's why everybody thinks that she knows how to leave it.
Number 3 on this list is called Perception.
I see it in my dreams. Night after night, the same house. 1,000 sketches, 1,000,000 hours of research, and finally, I found it.
Most modern horror games rely heavily on line of sight and hiding. So what do you do when one threatens to take that away from you? From some of the minds behind Bioshock, Perception challenges many of the tropes that we've come to expect from the horror genre. This unique experience puts the player in the shoes of a young woman named Cassie. And she's blind. Yeah, I know, you're already feeling the note factor, right? Cassie also possesses a kind of echolocation sense that triggers by tapping her cane, and can also be triggered by environmental sources as well, such as grandfather clocks. She comes across as a really likeable character in all of the trailers I've seen, so that's great.
Hello? What was that? The pipes. That's gonna throw me off.
The tapping mechanic will illuminate the world around you temporarily, but will also alert the presence, which is a force that inhabits the creepy-ass 18th century mansion you'll be exploring. Knowing that the ex-Bioshock developer is behind this, or partly anyway, combined with the unique mechanics at play, Perception could theoretically change the way that developers design horror games in future. And while an official release day has still not been announced, it is suspected to launch in 2017 due to the cancelled 2016 release date.
Hello?
No. No, what do you want from me?
Number 2 on this list, and next up, is Prey.
This is Morgan. The year is 2034. I keep having this dream. I'm just staring into the black between the stars. There's something there. I know there is. I can't see it, but it sees me.
Now, while Prey may not fall strictly under the guidelines of a horror game, both the premise and the enemies make this game closer to horror than the FPS that it claims to be. Following the cancellation of the much anticipated Prey 2, Arcane Studios began work on this reboot, taking cues from its other lead title Dishonored and also claiming cult hit System Shock as a major inspiration. You play as Morgan Yu in an alternate USA timeline where Kennedy has survived the assassination attempt somehow and then funded a massive space program. With some backstory and stuff that I don't want to ruin for you, you start the game in what appears to be a human city, only to eventually find out that you are on a space station. This space station is used for the study of a hostile alien race called the Typhon. These creatures are, quite frankly, terrifying, with the smaller versions capable of hiding in plain sight. These are called mimics for a very good reason. It means that they can mimic any object from a trash can to a chair to a coffee mug. There are 2 other enemies in this alien race called Phantoms and then Nightmares. Phantoms have been shown temporarily, especially at the early access event that some people got to go to earlier this month. And then there's Nightmares. Nightmares, we don't know anything about them other than the fact that they are attracted by the upgrades that you give yourself later on in the game. Not much footage has been shown of these, like I said, but it's a safe bet that they look like black spaghetti monsters. That seems to be a theme here. Arcane Studios takes pride in open level design, as showcased in Dishonored, and that's key in Prey, where objectives often have multiple pathways and the game itself has been confirmed to have different endings. There's also RPG elements here with different upgrades and eventually alien powers you can give yourself. It's these alien powers that attract the aforementioned Nightmares to you, so it sounds like it's going to be a bit of a win-loss situation that you have to weigh up mid-game, which is great, sounds awesome. All in all, Prey is looking like a win-win situation, with proven developers, a new take on a well-trodden genre, and an interesting approach to level design and enemies. Prey is due for release in early May, and it looks every bit of the game I hoped it had been.
Whenever you're ready, Morgan.
Number 1 on this list, predictably, I'm sorry if you saw this kind a mile off, it's Outlaw 2.
It's fallen. It's fallen. That great city. Because she made all nations drink the wine of the wrath.
I really tried to avoid putting this one at the top of the list, but being knee-deep in the first game currently on my YouTube, and having played the demo for Outlaw 2 that was released last year, I'm convinced that this will do nothing but improve on the experiences that its predecessor was so firmly out in the open. With no fighting back, the first game forced you to constantly be aware of your surroundings and to always be prepared to run away. Outlaw 2 takes that idea and throws a whole new layer of scary on top, changing the setting from the claustrophobic asylum of the first game to the open wilderness of the Arizona desert. You play as a young journalist called Blake Langerman, and along with your wife, you go to this desert to investigate the murder of a pregnant woman, a Jane Doe. You then, because horror games, become separated from each other via helicopter crash and have to locate your wife. The demo successfully showcased the advanced graphics of this sequel, while also demonstrating how the themes of the first game might be used in a more open setting. Much like the first installment, you are completely unable to fight back except in scripted cinematic sequences, and you rely on running, hiding, and outmaneuvering your enemies to progress. I played this demo with 3 friends, linked in the description, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, loved every second. This is going to be another success. I can't see it going any other way. The end of the game, the end of the demo also showed what I suspect to be the new Stalker character, the one that follows you around for most of the game, much like the big security guard in the first game with all the chains on him. Due for release in the first quarter of 2017, this game is gonna be a cracker. While there truly is a boatload of horror titles due for release this year, across all platforms, these 5 in particular are the ones I'm most interested in. If you think I left one out, or you disagree with my choices or the ordering of the list, hit me up in the comments below, let me know what you think, and I will try and do a second installment of this video. If not though, mine has been Dodge Gaming as per usual. Thank you so much for watching. Like if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you loved it, and I'll see you guys next time.
She looked at me and this is what she said, oh, the